Guys, welcome to another Monday edition of Tactical Training. And I'm excited that you guys are joining me for this one. I believe we called it Leadership and Team Building, People and Processes. So I've done a couple videos, not a ton, but a couple videos on building your team for your gym and then leading that team. And the reason that I'm so passionate about team building and leadership is because it has been probably the singular thing that has given me the freedom that I have now, which I choose to teach gym owners. But it is a cornerstone behind what FitBiz does. Is give gym owners the freedom, which along with that comes profit. And part of doing that is building the team and the systems to then allow you to take a step back and do whatever you want to do, right? And so I choose to pay it forward and teach gym owners how I was able to do that. You could do whatever you want with your freedom, right? You can work out a ton, you can go on a trip, you can whatever you choose, your side hustle, your hobby, whatever you want to do. But in order to get that freedom, you will need a team, right? And you will need to lead them. Okay, so I don't want to make it seem like I do not do anything at my gym. I do things. I work at my gym, or work on my gym, probably about 4 hours per week. And you've probably heard me say that in other videos, but that's about what it is. I have a team meeting on Mondays, right? And so that takes up an hour, and that's where I meet with my team, my high level team, not everybody. Which for you, if you're watching this, if you have a small team, then you should be meeting with everybody. And then the rest of the week, I just, as a result of that meeting, I might have some action items that I need to do. And the rest of my week would just be doing those action items, following up on what I said that I would do to accomplish the mission, right? But besides that, I mean, obviously a gym needs more than 4 hours of work per week. So who's doing the rest of it? Right. And that's where my team comes in. Right. So this live, right, I am going to be giving you a crash course on building a team specific to a brick and mortar gym. Right. And there might be a lot of books out there on how to build a team. And there might be a lot of books out there on leadership. Right. But this is going to be specific to the gym space. Right. And which I think will be a little bit more useful and tactical for you guys. And then once you have that team, how do you lead them, and what should you do with your time? Which I won't cover too much on, because we can do a whole separate video on there. But I want to bring it full circle for you. So let's start off with the reasons why you need a team, and why you still need to be involved and lead them. And we'll basically start with, in any business, and you've heard me say this before, there's people and there's processes, right? And so before you decide to build your team, you need to make sure that the processes that you're going to ask them to follow are correct. You've tried them, you've done them yourself, right? And sometimes people call processes systems, right? It's the same name, right? What systems do you have at your gym? What SOPs, so standard operating procedures, do you follow? All right, which is consistency and doing the same thing the same way every time. What processes, right? And so from anywhere from when you first meet with a new lead, like how do you talk with them, right? And how do you get them scheduled? And once they are scheduled, what is the expectation for when they show up? Does somebody greet them? And once you greet them, which office do you use, and how do you sell them? And once you sell them, how do they get onboarded into their program that they're going to be doing, right? Their workout program, their nutrition. And then once they're doing that, how do you keep them? How do you keep them happy? What does their client experience look like? All the way until the part that they want to cancel or leave your gym. What does that look like? Who out processes them, right? How does that work? Is there a contract involved? This is all, there's a series of processes, little micro systems that are working in the background to ensure that there is consistency, that you do the same thing every single time. At least there should be, right? If it sounds like your gym doesn't have anything like that, you probably don't have enough systems in place to allow for that consistency. But once you decide you want to bring on a team, you will absolutely need those processes because that's what they're going to be following, right? So even if you can do it up here in your head as the entrepreneur because you've been doing it for so long, when it comes time to hire a team, so you can take a step back and you can get that freedom again and do whatever you want to do with that spare time. um, your team knows what you want them to do and they know exactly how you'd like them to do it, so they can just go out and execute, right? And they don't have the experience or the intuition that you might have having done it for a decade. So that's where you need to actually develop some processes, put it down on paper. Once it's down on paper, it's called an SOP. It's a standard operating procedure. This is how we do things every single time, right? So a lot of businesses have that, like Chipotle, right, or Subway. First, you grab the bread, then you grab the cheese, then you ask them what kind of meat they want, then you ask them if they want it toasted or not. That it's not like it's not random. It's always the same. So that way they can train and teach somebody. And why is it like that? Because after doing it for 10 years, you've identified, hey, this is the most effective way to do this thing, right? People are happy, they get onboarded quickly, they love the experience. If they want to quit, we use these forms because then we can cancel it, or they can sit down and come talk with us. So maybe we can, change their mind, whatever it may be. You've identified these ways of these processes, these ways of doing things, and now you need to teach it to somebody else. So then you're not doing those things, right? And why would you delegate it to somebody else? Well, typically because you want to do higher value things, right? If you're jammed up doing paperwork all day, wouldn't you rather be in a sale meeting all day long, because the return on your time would be so much higher, right? Let's say you're training for, let's say you're the owner and you're training for, 4 hours that day, and you're charging Mrs. Jones $50 an hour. Okay, so now you're making $200. That is the most you can possibly make during that time. The upside is capped at $200. You can't make any more than that. You're trading your time for dollars, right? What we want to do as the entrepreneur is you want to introduce leverage to that, right? You want to leverage your time, because when you do that, you have a much higher upside, right? So what if you had 4 hours worth of sales? Okay, and each sale's 30 minutes. Let's just say they're 30-minute sales. You now have 8 opportunities, right? And so if you sell, let's just say you close at 50%, that's 4 sales you're making, right? What do you normally sell? What is your average ticket, right? So let's say your average ticket is $500, right? Well, you just made $2,000 in that same 4 hours instead of 200, okay? And of course, like, there's the argument of, well, it's revenue and you don't collect all of it. Sure, I understand that, but you guys get the point. Would you rather give yourself the ability, which it should be you as the owner, right? Because you are the most experienced. It's a high level task, but could you teach somebody how to train to a high standard and deliver a very similar experience that you can give, right? After having done it for so long? Probably. So when you say, if I can do that with training, what else can I do that with? Operations? Absolutely, right? Cleaning? Absolutely. Group classes? Absolutely. And the list goes on until eventually it gets to sales. And it's like, well, I mean, if I had the 4 hours back from sales, right, I could really focus on marketing and putting way more opportunities in front of my team, right? And then what would my return be? Right. And it's hard to imagine, but it becomes more than $2,000. The opportunity cost is higher. Right. And so that's the whole point of building this team, is so you can get to those things that really bring in the most value for your time as the entrepreneur. And you can't do 2 things at once. You cannot sell at the exact same time that you're training. You have to pick one. Right? And you can't do all of it in a certain day because there's only so many hours in the day. You have to choose. And when I talk with gym owners that are struggling, 9 times out of 10, they're choosing the wrong things simply because they don't know how to replace themselves. They don't know how to build a team. They don't know where they're going to get the money from to hire somebody. When they do hire that person, they don't know how to train them. And when that person does actually begin doing their job, the owner doesn't know what to do with their time, and what is the next higher value task? What should they be doing, right? So let's break that down. The first thing that we want to identify before you bring in on anybody in your team is your processes. Do you have consistency? Does it work the way that you want it to work every single time? If the answer is yes, then proceed to start looking for somebody to do a set of tasks that you no longer want to do, or you've deemed not being valuable, right? If the systems, if sometimes it works or sometimes it gets messed up, or sometimes you got to remember to do this, and this, then make sure you iron that out before you ask someone else to do it, right? Because they're just going to get confused. And if it's confusing, they're probably not going to do a good job at it, right? So we've identified that our processes are good, right? And when I speak about processes, I try to lump like similar things under when I'm looking at a role. Like, so if I want to hire somebody for admin, right, I'm going to try to figure out all the admin type stuff that happens at my business. And then I'm going to put that together in one document. And I'm going to call it a 4Rs document, right? And Rs stand for roles, responsibilities, requirements of that role, and then ultimately the results. What are you expecting out of them? So I'll find all the admin stuff, about 20 hours of admin type work throughout the week, that all kind of falls in, like, I'm not going to add in like coach a class if you're available, right? That's not an admin type job, right? So don't put it in there. Just put in the stuff that's very similar to that role. Okay, and once you have it all in there, then you have a list of things that when you're looking for somebody that's great at admin work, that you want them to do every day, right? You have the list, and then you, in theory, would no longer be doing those things. So how do they know if they're doing a good job at those? Well, you have to tell them what the expectations are. So let's stay with admin, right? Let's say that something that you like to do is get back to all of your customers within 24 hours. Maybe that's part of their results. Every customer inquiry, whether it is, I mean, for anything, you guys know membership rates, cancellations, hold requests, questions about swag, whatever it may be, all customer service is replied to within 24 hours. Imagine if someone else could do that for you and it took that load off of you, right? Or all contracts are processed in Mindbody or Zen Planner or whatever, added to the bookkeeping, and filed away in the right area. Clients get a copy of it. Trainer gets notes on Mrs. Jones, whatever it may be, and admin does all of that stuff, right? Imagine how nice that is, you not having to do that. So now all of a sudden you're starting to hit what we call KPIs, key performance indicators, right? So there's these certain metrics that you want that role to hit at the end of each month, right? Or end of each week, right? I like to use monthly. Okay. So if they hit those, then they know that they're doing their job to your standard, right? To your standard. And so for admin, I would say, client communication and customer service within 24 hours. I would say all paperwork and everything's handled and squared away. The classes are covered. Everybody has everything they need. Various administrative duties. In fact, we have a whole list on everything that the admin should be doing. If they're running things like Facebook group and tagging people in that group, making copies. So all the rest of the positions, like your sales guys and all that, they always have what they need. They can just grab it and go. Your trainers, updating the scoreboard if you use one on a daily basis to make sure that looks good, checking people into classes, stocking swag. The list can go on of administrative type stuff that you could take off of your plate or someone else's, right? You find what you think is a fair amount to pay that person to do those things, right? So now you want to hire, you're like, I want to hire this person. This is exactly what I want them to do. I would place an ad on Indeed, and I would spend about $10 per day on advertising for that role, and you will get so many applicants. Now, what you're looking for, because now we're talking, the processes have been identified, and you're like, this is exactly what I want them to do, how I want them to do it, and the results that I'm expecting, because those are the results I was getting, right, as the owner, and I'd like to get similar results. Now we have to find the right person, right? So we talked about people and processes in every business. The process is dialed in. You did your homework. You put all of that together before you're going to interview anybody. It's You have the 4 hours document, you know the KPIs, you know what to expect out of them. You set aside the time to train them properly, showing them exactly what you want them to do. You set aside time for them to shadow you as you're doing it, right? And here's how I like to break it down. I like to make videos like we're making right now, explaining exactly how to do their job, right? That way they can always refer back to it. Sure, you can meet them at the gym and jump in an office and you can show them on the computer exactly what they'll be doing, but they're not going to remember all of it. And they're just going to keep asking you like, oh, hey, how did you do that thing again? And it's going to take up a lot of your time, right? So I like to make videos and send it to them. I give them 3 days to review the videos. Then I do, depending on the position, usually I will have them shadow me for 3 days, right? And then I will shadow them for 3 days to make sure that they're doing it all right. And I'm just kind of helping if they need it, right? But after that, it's been about 9 days, 10 days, which I would consider to be 2 weeks business, working days, 5 days and 5 days, Monday through Friday. And they should be good to go on their own, right? But you need to identify the right person for that role. So how do you do that? Well, again, it depends on the position. If it's an administrative person, the first thing I'm not going to look for is somebody that is like me or a trainer, right? Because we are, I shouldn't say that. Like I do like doing some administrative stuff, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. But guess what, guys? There are people out there where it is their favorite thing to do. They do not want to be in front of other people teaching classes and showing them exercises. They do not want to be taking risks or having sales meetings, where they could possibly face rejection, like somebody saying no or whatever. Like they would be much more comfortable sitting behind a computer and a desk, greeting people, saying hi, stocking things, putting stuff in the computers. Like that is their jam. That is their comfort zone. That's the kind of person you want to find, right? Don't try to find somebody that you get along with, right? That's just like you, right? Because they're not going to want to do the job either, right? And so you want to find somebody that's an operator when it comes to admin, right? Same thing with coaches. If you're trying to hire a coach, right, always try to find the right person, personality-wise, right, that fits your culture and your mission, right? So that's where we're going to talk a little bit about your mission statement and your core values, right? And so whenever you're interviewing somebody, you want to keep in the back of your head, what is the mission that your team is trying to accomplish, right? We want to, serve 200 people per year from our local community and help them have real transformation. So we're actually contributing to society. Like that is our mission. We all love getting paid. We all have a great job, but we want to be bigger than ourselves. And our mission is to do that. And throughout the process, maybe give back to charities and like things like that, right? So if you're interviewing somebody and this person doesn't care about that kind of stuff, and really they're driven by money, right? Or things like that, you're like, hey, you would be a great stockbroker, or you would be a great salesperson at the car place or whatever, but you don't fit our mission. Our top priority isn't money. It might be on there, like profit might be like 4 or 5 or something in there, but it ain't even in the top 3, right? The top 3 is change lives, contribute to society, and help people in need, or something like that, right? That might be the top 3 of why you started your business and what its purpose is, what its mission is, right? So if you have somebody right in front of you and their top thing is like, hey man, I just want to hustle and make as much money as possible, right? Already that's not a good core value fit for your company, right? Second is your core values. How do you go about accomplishing that mission? So we have this mission, right? Our gym wants to bring on 200 members per year that we help do transformations from our local community. We're not doing online stuff. And we want to give back to our local community as well through events that we fundraise for, whatever it may be, right? So how do we go about accomplishing that mission? Well, the people that work here, they follow these core tenets, right? And the core tenets are usually something that is intrinsic to the owner, meaning it is part of who you are, right? So like ownership, that's a big one at my gym. Is like, I encourage each staff member to take ownership over everything that happens in their day at my business, everything. So if there's a piece of garbage that is on the ground, they should want to pick it up and throw it in the trash. It doesn't have to be their job, but they should want to do that because they understand that it's going to help contribute to the mission of providing an amazing customer experience to everybody. They can't have a transformation if somebody quits because the customer experience is a joke, right? Or they wear their uniforms, they show up on time, they do all these things because they understand they own every single piece of their interaction with our clients, and professionalism is huge, right? Or if a contract is filled out incorrectly by them, they're going to contact that customer and explain it and all that stuff. They own all of that, right? It's a big part of how I run my business. And if I feel like somebody during the interview is consistently pointing the finger at their old boss or old employees, you ask them questions about, like, why did this situation happen and what could you have done to make it easier on the customer, whatever it may be. If they're pointing the fingers, if they're not saying I could have changed it and I could have done this and I could have been proactive about it, and if I had done that, this result would be different, right? They could say that, and that would exhibit like really good ownership, and I would know, perfect core value fit for us. That's exactly how we all are here. Or like Jason has a core value where he calls it like spirit of the puppy, right? Which I think is great for a gym because, like, I had a puppy, man. A lot of people have had puppies, but think about like when you are like you're inviting your friends over to your house and your puppy is just going ape shit on them, right? And they're just so excited to see your guest for the first time, and they just are jumping. You're like, hey man, chill out, like chill. You know what I mean? Jason has that in his culture at his gym, to where like a new member comes in, right? And they're like, oh, hey, what's up? Yo, super happy you could make it today. Like, I am so pumped you are here. And it's like, whoa, look at that energy level. And to me, that's so fitting for a gym, a brick and mortar gym. That's why people come to you. And you're like, dude, this guy is so excited to see me. Like, I've had a shitty day, but this has totally brightened it up. This is like the best part of my day. Now, imagine if when members come to your gym, it's always the best part of their day. Always, right? And it probably is. Think about it, guys. They have, kids they got to take to school. Then they have, running late to work, and they had tons of meetings at work, and maybe they had customers that are bitching, and then, they get stuck in traffic on the way. But when they finally walk into your gym, it's like, oh, this is my me time. This is like where I get to focus on myself. I can't wait to get this lift in. I know how good I'm going to feel afterwards. Like, yes. Now imagine if your trainers were like super dull and they're like, hey, yeah, my day's been kind of crappy, but whatever, at least we're here, get this workout in. Like, dude, that is not spirit of the puppy. And that is going to ruin the client experience, and you are ruining the best part of their day, and shame on you, right? And Jason wouldn't probably, I'm assuming he wouldn't like tolerate that at his place, because it's going to bring down the rest of the team, right? And the vibe and the energy. Right. And so if you notice something like that in the interview process, right, you don't hire that person. Right. So what I'm trying to say is, don't hire people based on skills. You will teach them that. Right. Unless it's a very specific position. Hire them based on their personality and the core value fit that they are with your company. Right. And with the rest of your team. Or if you're just beginning to build a team, your first hire, your right-hand man, like, you need them to share the same values that you share. And the reason is that they will make the same decisions that you make when you're not there, right? Which is the thing that we're all scared of. We're all scared of hiring somebody and delegating stuff, and they just don't do things the way that you would do them, right? And so how do you protect that? Right? Because I do think it's important that your team does do things the way that you want them to do, because you are the visionary. You are the entrepreneur. You are the person that is trying to steer this ship to the promised land, right? And a lot of them, they don't have the context to know which way to go, right? They're rowing the oars. They're looking through the telescope. They're doing other things, but they don't have the whole picture in mind. So at some point, you just need them to execute their job, right? Because you do have the whole picture in mind. But what happens if they're not executing their job, based on how you would do it, right? Well, that's where the problem lies. And that's why entrepreneurs don't like to hire and delegate stuff, because they lose that control. But if your team that you hired absolutely knows the mission, right? And they absolutely know how you would go about accomplishing that mission as the owner, right? Now you can hire them and delegate, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to make the same exact decisions that you would make, right? Because they know what the goal is and they know how to get to the goal, right? So they're probably going to do the same thing you would do, right? We call that decentralized command, right? That is essentially like they don't have to check in with you, right? Every time they have a question about anything. And if they do have to, then you are not leading them right, because it's going to slow everything down, everything, right? Hey, so and so wanted to see if we could make this deal. Hey, could I do squats in this workout? Hey, where do I file this paperwork? I want to make sure I don't put it in the wrong place. Hey, this person posted in the Facebook group. Should I approve it? Good luck getting anything done, right? You need employees that are going to make those decisions on their own without interrupting you, right? And so you just need them to make the right decisions, right? So you have to show them how they need to act and what the mission is, right? Once you do that, then you just repeat the process, right? So that admin is now up and rocking and rolling, and it's time to hire a trainer, right? So what do? Well, the first thing you do is make sure all the processes are ironed out, right? All of them. And then you put it on a 4 hours document. So a big part of your job is going to be training people. So we start off with a dynamic warm up. That's what we do here, right? We don't want you just sticking Mrs. Jones on a treadmill for 7 minutes, and 7 of her 30 minutes are on the treadmill. She's going to start thinking, I'm really only getting 23 minutes because I could easily do this at home, right? So we don't do that. We do a dynamic warm up because it is going to be activating the nervous system and the muscles that she's going to be using in the workout. And all dynamic warm ups shouldn't be the same. Why? Because they're all using different muscles in their workout. You know what I'm saying? And like, so if that's what you believe in, and you don't have to believe in that, by the way, but if it's what you believe in, then you should have that as part of your process. So we do a 7-minute dynamic warm up with all of our customers, all of our clients. Then we give them an amazing 20-minute workout, right? Then the last 3 minutes of their workout is spent weighing in, doing body fat percentage, and setting goals for next week. And that's a 30-minute workout that in totality is absolutely amazing. And we're going to do that 3 days a week. And these people are going to get big time changes, right? Or whatever. But that's how you do things. That's your secret sauce that you developed as the entrepreneur. Now you need to find somebody, right, that is going to be able to do that for you, so you can use your time with other stuff. So again, we go back to Indeed, we place the ads. Jason is a big fan of hiring people from within. So maybe you have some members that had some big transformations and they just love you guys so much. Approach them and ask them if they'd be interested in a part-time job, right? But anyways, it's the same process. You bring them on, you interview them, you make sure that they're a core value fit, they understand the mission, you decide if you want to hire them or not. Then you give them their training video that you've already pre-made, which, by the way, once you make it once, you should be able to use it for quite some time. And then after that, you will go directly into having them shadow you, right? And then, or maybe shadow one of your coaches, your favorite coach, and then have the coach shadow them. And obviously don't like point stuff out right in the middle of a workout unless it's dangerous. But like afterwards, they talk about how it went. And if they can make any improvements, or like, hey man, you can bring your energy up a little bit. Like find your trainer voice. Like you're really good and your workouts are great, but you're just quiet, or whatever, however you guys do things, right? But then you have yourself another staff member. So this is exactly how you build a team, guys. Is first you develop all of these systems, the processes that you're going to eventually want that person to do. Unless you have that completely dialed in, right? Your SOPs, your 4 Rs, how your training videos, all that. Don't go looking to hire somebody, because they're just going to think that your organization is unorganized, and they're not going to be really sure what you want them to do, and they're not really sure on like what you expect from them. Like, how do they know they're doing a good job, right? And that's the number one reason why employees are unsatisfied, is like they just don't know. They don't know if they're doing a good job or not. Like they don't, like they're just hoping that you're not mad at them, right? And so once you decide you want to make that hire, then you build your team. But it's very, very important for you as the leader to know what to do with your time once you start getting it back. There's some things that you still need to do. And I'd argue to say that in the brick and mortar space, the gym owner should always be the person that is responsible for inflow, right? And so not necessarily like sales, but like making sure that the company has enough inflow so everyone else can do their jobs, right? And the reason I believe in this is because it's very hard. It's just very hard to delegate that, right? Because nobody feels the sense of responsibility like the owner would, right? Think about the trickle down effect. If you don't have enough leads coming in, okay, your sales guy, they don't have enough opportunities to sell anything, which means they are arguably like not making that much money, right? Especially if they're paid commission based. Um, and so then if you're not selling people, then your coaches, they don't have an opportunity to train as much, right? There's not as many people to train depending on how you set it up. So they're not making as much money, right? And it's harder for them to be 100% committed to your workplace when financially they need to make ends meet, right? And then if you have less members walking around, you have less referrals, which means you have less people at your events, which means that you have less organic growth, right? All of these things. And so somebody needs to be responsible for the inflow of new customers. And because the fitness industry is so savage and things change all the time, which they do, somebody needs to be on top of like what's working, right? Hence where my 4 hours come in. Now, as you can see, it's not a lot of time, but those 4 hours are three of those 4 hours are focused only on inflow. The other hour is focused on reviewing KPIs and reviewing the goals from last week, which is what we do in our Monday meetings. We review KPIs, we review our goals for last week, we set goals for the next week, always. But outside of that, I'm looking at what's working, right? So at my gym, we have 6 different pipelines that new leads come in through, all right? And I analyze them, 3 times a week to make sure that they're constantly bringing me leads, bringing me water, right? If I'm trying to fill up my bucket with water, I have to make sure that none of my pipes are clogged. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if my job is to fill the bucket up with water and 4 of my pipes are clogged and there's no water coming in from them, well, what the hell? Do you know what I mean? Everyone else has their other jobs. And so that's my job, right? If you want to know what my 6 pipelines are, I've done plenty of other videos on that, but I need to make sure that they're flowing. So that's number 1. That's my job. That's what my job has become as the owner. But guys, 4 hours, shit. I mean, that's great. And then the other time I spend is on leading a team, right? And I don't classify this as like an hour thing because it happens when it happens, right? But a big part of my job is to consume and learn, right? Consume and learn. And then what I do with that is I can then leverage my new knowledge across my entire team. So like at my gym, there's 15 employees, right? 3 managers, couple admin, 10 trainers, me, right? And so if I learn a new tactic, a new technique, if I learn anything that can help improve my performance, anything like that, my job is to then synthesize that and turn that into something that my team can find beneficial and useful, and they can apply it, right? Because they don't have the 30 hours a week, 20 hours a week dedicated to doing that, right? They're already busy. So while you should be reading books, listening to books, podcasts, YouTube, however you like to consume your information. I take a lot of courses. However you like to level yourself up and become a high performer, a great leader, you need to put that into action at your gym. So like if you learn something that's amazing, like you should talk to your managers about it, and be like, hey guys, like, let's just take a quick, what do you guys do for your morning routine, right? And let's say they don't have any morning routine, right? They may be like losing so many hours of productivity every single week because they like, oh dude, I wake up and guzzle a coffee and just hopefully I'm not late. I'm like, wow, like check this out. If you wake up just 30 minutes earlier, and of course, just whatever you're passionate about, I'm not telling you how to live your morning, right? But that's one thing. Or let's say you learn about sales, like you take a sales course. Imagine the nuggets that you could pass on to your salesperson, right? They don't have time to do an entire sales course. And in fact, you're probably just looking for the couple nuggets in there. Like you probably have already heard most of what's in that course or in that book, right? But there could be a couple things in there that are just huge, game changing for how you guys sell, right? And it's your job to find those things, because once you find those and then you implement those at your business, it's a leveraged effect. And now so many people are going to benefit from that, because now we're closing a higher amount of sales, right? And because of that, the trainers are getting more people to work with. The events grow, the referrals grow, all because you went in and found. Your staff isn't going to go in and find those nuggets, guys. They just don't do that kind of stuff. They don't view it as their job. They're not entrepreneurs. Like, they're not looking for another hack to increase this or do that. Same thing with training, right? If you become the subject matter expert on training, when you guys have workshops with your staff, you can educate them on new things. Well, you can do that across all the positions, operations, all the positions. You can consume information and you can add that skill set to your skills, and then give that to the rest of your staff. And that's you leading them, right? Holding them to expectations and leading them. So I don't want to go too much longer on this, but that is basically how you would build a team if you are looking to build a team, and what you would do with your free time once you have it. And the final thing that I will say on it is only keep A players. Okay. If you feel like you have clearly set the expectations, there's no miscommunication, there's none of that, and you have somebody on your team that cannot produce the results that you need to accomplish the mission, then a big part of you as the owner is having tough conversations. And it's twofold. Number one, because think about the rest of your team, right? What if the rest of your team is A players, right? And you have this one girl or this one guy, whoever, that is consistently underperforming, and you just let them stay on the team. And the whole team knows, like, dude, the whole team knows. Like, if somebody sticks out, if they're like, dude, Susie is constantly late to the gym, like, everybody knows. Or someone's super gossipy, or they just don't fit your core values, or they don't contribute really much, and you do nothing. What kind of message does that send to the rest of your team, right? And the standards, I mean, standards are only what you are willing to tolerate as the leader. So if you want to have high standards, then you need to stop tolerating bullshit, right? And so that's a big part of your job. Now, of course, leadership is not, it's 10% of having tough conversations and 90% of like continually inspiring and leading by example and motivating. Like, that's the majority of it. But you can't be afraid to have that 10% tough conversations to protect the rest of your team. A players do not like to work with B players, period, right? Because if you don't reach goals, like, it eats you up, and immediately you're going to point the finger at the B player who's holding up the whole process, right? And they don't, like, it just creates a really bad funk within your organization, right? And if you're having talks about why you're not reaching your gym's goals. Like, we're supposed to sign up 20 members, this month, and for whatever reason, the admin that's in control of the Facebook group is not even accepting new people or commenting. Like, it gets tired, constantly referencing the same person needing to improve their performance, right? Eventually, your A player is going to be like, dude, I'm out of here. Like, I want to be on a team that wants to win the game, right? And half the people here, they don't want to win the game. They're just trying to collect a paycheck. And then it's going to be freaking impossible for you to recruit A players, because you're not a team that wants to win, and everybody knows it, right? And so your job as the leader is to make sure that you only have A players, and that you do everything you can to turn your people into A players, or get them out of your organization and find an A player to replace them, right? That is your job. Because if you're not going to do the day-to-day stuff yourself, which you aren't, because you need to work on the business, not in the business, then you need to surround your team with A players and make sure that they're constantly stay A players, right? That's your job. And A players can fall out of that category if they're not nurtured, right? And so hopefully you guys find this valuable. Definitely lessons I've learned throughout, owning a gym. And I've had teams full of A players and teams full of B and C players. And I'm telling you, the teams that are full of B and C players, like I could never be doing what I'm doing now. And it was my fault as the owner that I attracted the wrong people. I hired the wrong people. I didn't train them good. I thought it was good at the time, but I didn't. I didn't set expectations. And when I realized that they were not core value fits, I let them stay on the team because they were a body that was training people that I didn't have to, right? But I learned, right? I learned from my mistakes. I fixed them, and now it's just freaking amazing, right? So anyways, guys, hopefully you gained something useful from this. Of course, like always, if you want everything, like I teach, in these videos, I tell you what you should do and why you need to do it, right? Because it works, right? If you want to know the how to do it, how to build your 4Rs documents, right? How to place ads and what those ads should say, how to onboard somebody with the actual videos you'll be giving them, how to hire and in what order. Should it be admin first, trainers first? If you want all the how, that is exactly what the perfect gym model is, right? With a lot more stuff, right? It goes into sales and all that. But if you want to know exactly how to do any of this stuff and half the stuff we do for you, that is why we created the perfect gym model. So it's not just a course, it is a program with coaching every step of the way that walks you through this. So by the end of it, you do have a fantastic team that is doing everything that you're asking them to into the standard, right? So if you know, you guys know how to get in touch with us. You know, comment below, be like, hey, great video. How does the perfect gym model work? Whatever. I don't got to teach you how to reach out to somebody. You're entrepreneurs, but just so you know, we're here for you when it comes to that kind of stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in on this Monday. I will see you next Monday at 2 p.m. Central, where we're going to be digging into some additional tactical advice that you can apply to your gym immediately and see a very quick turnaround in how things are going. So again, I am out of here and wishing you guys a awesome week.